Severe weather first alert again today across southwest Florida with heavy rain possible. I'll show you the primary threat and where we're going to see the most rain in your first alert forecast.
And boaters try to put out a boat fire overnight. Coming up, I'm live in Cape Coral showing you the damage.
Plus, the NFL is kicking off the season tonight right here on NBC2. A lot of folks didn't think we'd get here. In minutes, we're breaking down the new changes you'll see at tonight's game.
And we could possibly see more flooding like this in southwest Florida today. 6 inches of rain turned roads on the north end of Marco Island basically into rivers yesterday. This was the video from the intersection of Bald Eagle Drive and Perrine Court. Thanks for watching NBC2. It's 5 o'clock on this Thursday morning. I'm Lisa Spooner.
And I'm Clay Miller. Good morning, everybody. Our team of meteorologists have issued a severe weather alert for today as we could, as Lisa said, see more rain and that flooding. Let's check in with First Alert meteorologist Jason Dunning with a look at when and where we could see some potential severe weather. Jason?
Yeah, thank you. And the key thing to note today is we're not expecting to see a lot of violent thunderstorms, but it's that heavy rainfall potential like we saw in Marco Island that led to some major street flooding. We're talking about 5 to 6 inches of rain. Most of that came within a couple hours. The storms were barely moving yesterday, and that potential is there again today, mainly as we get into the back half of the day and into the afternoon and evening. We're starting off nice and quiet, though. This time yesterday, we had some rain creeping up on our coast, and we do have some thunderstorms out there this morning to the west of Charlotte County, but all of this today moving deeper into the Gulf of Mexico. So we're not going to see this head over toward our coastline, and for the next several hours, we're going to see a pretty quiet start. But this is what I'm tracking here for you as we go through the afternoon. We're talking about around 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock. That's the main window of opportunity here. Yes, we will see some lightning, pretty typical of South Florida, but right here, that flooding potential at the medium threat level, the tornado potential low today, the wind, the damaging wind threat also on the lower side. So right through here is going to be the main focus, especially considering how much rain we've seen over the last few days, in some areas picking up as much as 5 to 6 inches. So let's get you through the day here over the next 12 hours through 10 o'clock. We are going to stay dry, temperatures in the upper 70s, a slow warm up today up to 86 degrees by 12 o'clock. We're going to peak at 90, and then some of those heavy areas of rain and thunderstorms developing closer to 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock. They're going to move from east to west today. So if you live in the Cape, Fort Myers, Lehigh Acres, Naples, basically right up along Highway 41 and I-75 for our coastal counties, that's where we're going to see the biggest potential for rain and thunderstorms, and also that threat of some localized flooding. We're going to get into more of the specifics about exactly how much rain we're going to see heading into the afternoon coming up in your first alert forecast. And also got a brand new futurecast to show you. We're going to walk through this. Right now, of course, it's quiet, but what will the afternoon have in store? We'll pinpoint the neighborhoods. We'll see the best chance of rain ahead in your first alert forecast.
Thanks, Jason. It's 5:02. Breaking news you'll see only on NBC2. A fire at a Cape Coral marina leaves a boat destroyed. The 35-foot boat is now in pieces. Some of the nearby dock even burned. Cape Coral Fire Department tells us crews rushed to the scene at Rosen Park around 10 o'clock last night. NBC2's Edna Ruiz is live there bringing you the latest from those fire officials. Edna, what did they tell you this morning?
Well, Lisa, the fire is out, but the smell of smoke is definitely still in the air. And believe it or not, what's left of the boat is actually right behind me, behind this crime scene tape. I want you to take a look from above just so you can see what is left from that boat out here on the dock at Rosen Park. Cape Coral Fire first got the call around 10 last night. The boat was in flames, and boaters nearby were actually trying to put the flames out with a water hose. Thankfully, no one was hurt. There is some minor damage to the dock and a little bit of damage next to the boat that was next to it. No other boats were severely damaged, though. So the cause of the fire is still unknown at this moment. We have been talking with some people that were out here. We will hear from them coming up at 6 o'clock. As soon as we get any information, though, you can count on NBC2 to bring that to you right here on air and on our NBC2 News app. I'm live in Cape Coral. Edna Ruiz, NBC2.
Edna, thank you. 5:03 now. Also, more breaking news here and something we are keeping tabs on. An 8-year-old boy is critically injured after a 3-car crash in North Fort Myers. Let's show you where this all happened at the intersection of US 41 and Pondella Road around 8 o'clock last night. Florida Highway Patrol says the driver of the car the young boy was riding in ran a red light and ended up colliding with 2 other cars. The female driver of that car has critical injuries, and one of the other drivers has minor injuries. We spoke to one man whose son was involved in the crash. Thankfully, he's okay, but now his family is praying for the boy battling for his life.
I feel really bad for the family, you know, of the mom and the dad of that kid.
all of our first responders here, our thoughts and prayers are with him to have a quick and complete recovery.
Now, the crash is now clear, but Florida Highway Patrol tells us it's still under investigation. And right now, we are still working to learn more about those involved in the crash, and we really need to find out how that little boy is doing. We'll pass that along as soon as we learn more.
More breaking news. 2 more FGCU students have tested positive for COVID-19. The university says the students live off campus, but may have been on campus for class. In the last week, 9 students and 1 employee have tested positive. This morning, Florida is seeing a slight increase in COVID-19 cases. The state reported a little more than 2,000 cases yesterday. 56 of those new cases were reported right here in Southwest Florida. Florida's positivity rate, also an increase. It's now up to 5.9%. We do expect to get some new numbers from the Department of Health this afternoon. Count on NBC2 to let you know what they are as soon as they come in.
Lee Health is also seeing an increase in the number of COVID-19 patients they are treating. Health officials now say they're treating 86 patients for the virus. Right now, 71% of ventilators are available and 22% of ICU beds are open.
NCH says it is treating 32 patients for COVID-19, which is a slight decrease in cases. We also expect to get a new update from both Lee Health and NCH on the number of patients they're treating for COVID-19. And again, as soon as those numbers come in, we'll be sure to pass them along to you.
Happening today, a new walk-up COVID-19 testing site is opening in North Fort Myers. Starting at 9 this morning, you can head to the parking lot of the North Fort Myers Community Pool. This is right off Orange Grove Boulevard here, just south of Pondella. Up to 300 tests can be done at this site, and it is open to anyone 4 years old and up. Testing is free here. You do not need an appointment or a doctor's referral.
You can also get swabbed for COVID-19 today in Collier County. Kids and adults can go to the Department of Health locations in Naples or Immokalee. A reminder, though, you do need an appointment before you head to those sites. The Department of Health is also offering drive-through testing at its location in Naples. Drive-through testing will be available there every Tuesday and Thursday, but again, you will have to make an appointment.
And as always, you can get tested for COVID-19 here in Lee County, looking live at the CenturyLink Sports Complex in Fort Myers. This is our area's largest COVID-19 testing site. 1,200 people a day can be tested there. Up to 200 antibody tests are also being offered at this site each day.
Lee County says it could be soon offering flu shots at some of the new pop-up testing sites in the county. Now, because of the pandemic, getting your flu shot is more important than ever. The CDC says early fall is a great time for you to get that flu vaccine. Last year, the flu killed at least 24,000 people in the U.S. Many stores have started offering this year's strain of the flu vaccine. FGCU's Robert Hawk says it could even help protect you from COVID-19.
Because if people are sick with the flu, it's going to reduce their immune system, and in theory, that can make them more prone to contracting COVID-19.
Flu season does not peak until the wintertime, but it takes a few weeks for your body to develop the antibodies to fight the flu off.
Now, the director of the CDC says people should not be concerned about AstraZeneca taking a pause in its phase 3 trials for a coronavirus vaccine. Instead, Dr. Robert Redfield says people should see this as an example that vaccine candidates are being evaluated critically for safety.
We're going to basically slow down and take a look at this to make sure that we stay in that climate, that safety is the #1 objective of all these initial trials.
Dr. Redfield also says if everything goes really well, we could see a vaccine during the first or second quarter of 2021. However, he says high-risk individuals could possibly get it sooner.
The day many of us have been waiting for, finally here. Terrible towel ready.
Yeah.
Dusting off the bad call brick to throw at the TV.
Wow,
Yes,
you're prepared.
I
I've got
am.
the Buccaneers helmet. I'm ready to go too.
The 2020 NFL season kicks off tonight as Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs host the Red and Blue Houston Texans.
I mean, it's kind of your home area. So.
It's true, hometown.
Yeah, you can watch the game starting at 7 o'clock tonight right here on NBC2. And Kansas City is one of the few NFL franchises allowing some fans to attend home games. About 17,000 people are expected to be in attendance tonight.
Now, according to ESPN, players are not required to wear masks while they're on the sidelines, but they are strongly recommended to and will have to wear them while inside facilities. Officials, coaches, and staff members will, however, have to wear those masks during games. Now, in addition, the NFL will be testing players daily, but not on game days.
And listen to this, for the coin toss, ESPN says that only one member from each team will be allowed to go for that.
Now, due to football, tonight's episodes of Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy on NBC2 will not be airing. Don't worry, though. Instead, both shows will air tomorrow night, and Friday's episodes will air on Saturday.
Do you remember Hurricane Irma? For some here in Bonita Springs, it's hard to forget. We're tracking the progress our community's made since that devastating storm.
Plus, the DEO is asking some Floridians to pay back their unemployment. Ahead at 5:19, find out if you are one of the people who may have to hand over the cash.
More rain and rumbles for us today. Severe weather first alert in place with a threat for flooding later this afternoon. Marco Island got hit hard yesterday. We'll see the future cast for Marco Island and the rest of us in your first alert forecast ahead at 5:15.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. This is Alex Howard for NBC2. Testing, testing. Yeah, testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2. Mic check, mic check. This is Alex Howard reporting for NBC2. Can you hear me? Dial down a little bit. Mic check 1, 2, mic check 1, 2. This is Alex Howard reporting for NBC2. Can you hear me now?
Mic check, 109876543321. Mic check, 1098.
Sure, yeah, I started talking, but someone else was talking, so I stopped.
Well, on this day 3 years ago, Hurricane Irma roared ashore, bringing rain and those whipping winds, ultimately changing the landscape of Southwest Florida.
September 10th, 2017, a day none of us in Southwest Florida will forget, when Irma made landfall. Landfall in Collier County as a Category 3 storm. It was a big storm, too. The devastation from the flooding is still fresh in people's minds for people who live in Bonita Springs.
This morning, NBC2's Alex Howard is live on Quinn Street in Bonita, right near the Imperial River. So, Alex, you just heard from Mayor Pete Simmons. How is the community doing today, 3 years later?
Well, that's right. 3 years later, you can still see some of the scars here on the homes that are still boarded up here on Quinn Street years after the aftermath of Hurricane Irma, which flooded this entire neighborhood with water upwards of about 4 feet deep, and that's about as tall as this oar that I have here. Now, speaking with Peter Simmons yesterday morning, he told me one thing he mentioned specifically was how close this really is to the Imperial River. It's less than half a mile away where we're standing right now, and the days leading up to Hurricane Irma, the river was already at semi-flooding levels. Now, this was the result. This whole neighborhood was under 4 to 5 feet of water for about a month. The mayor himself said he had to get around here by boat, and a woman I talked to yesterday told me she wasn't able to return to her home for nearly 2 months.
You know, I just thought about saving my life I didn't think about my house at all.
I traveled in this neighborhood for a month by foot, in hip waders, in canoe, in motorized boats that were staged right here, and just helping people.
And while right now there's no hurricane headed for Bonita Springs, but we have found out that the Imperial River's water level has risen several feet in just the past 10 days. Later on in the morning, we'll show you a closer look of what the river's looking like right now and the flooding risk. Live in Bonita Springs, Alex Howard, NBC2.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Here's some more perspective on that. You know, most of the flooding that Bonita Springs community saw during Irma is from the Imperial River, as you were talking about. And take a look at this. NBC2 investigated, and we found that the Imperial River water levels averages around 8.5 feet. It peaked several days after Hurricane Irma at one point, and at one part of the river, it was 12.5 feet. Homes were completely flooded. Now, by comparison, right now, the Imperial River is just above 6 feet, and that's due to some recent rain that we picked up over the last few days. It actually started out the month of September around 4 to 5 feet. So this just goes to show how quickly water levels can change and how long that flooding can linger after a big tropical system. Thankfully, no tropical threats for Florida right now. So we get to your local forecast. We're going to talk more tropics as well. But also, we have a severe weather first alert in place today due to the potential for some flooding rains. And that's going to come with some thunderstorms developing from the mid to late afternoon. We're all clear, all quiet right now. I'm getting ready to head out, take the dog for a walk. There might be some puddles left from yesterday, but looking good there for Marco Island, Naples, and Bonita Springs. Of course, Marco was one of the spots yesterday where we saw some of that major street flooding. We saw some of the floodwaters almost up to the top of mailboxes yesterday over some of the city streets in Marco. And you can see some of those brighter colors popping up, indicating as much as 4 to 5 inches of rain. And the problem was a lot of that came within a time span of a couple hours. So as we focus on Collier County, from Marco Island looking up through Naples and Golden Gate today, is there the potential again for some flooding rains? Yes. Now, it might not fall over Marco Island, but for those of you in Marco, the chance is there for some heavy rain. And you can see closer to 2:30, 3 o'clock this afternoon, some of those soakers and storms will develop to the east of you and then start building west. So Lely, Naples, Golden Gate up through Naples Park, and then expanding through portions of Lee County. We're going to see a good chance for some rain and thunderstorms. Some of these will be slow moving. So the concern with that is the rain has a lot of time to kind of add up, and we could see some areas getting as much as 1 to 3 inches of rain, even closer to 4 to 5 inches, but that should come in some localized pockets. Here's your future cast as we look across Lee County and the rest of southwest Florida up around Port Charlotte and Punta Gorda. First part of the day, no major issues. We're going to start off with sunshine mixed with clouds, and then the sun's going to help to energize the atmosphere. So as we get closer to 3 and 4 o'clock, there's those storms I was tracking closer to Marco, Naples, up through North Naples, and these will push up into parts of Lee County today from Lee Hikers, Estero, Cape Coral, Fort Myers. A couple days ago, Fort Myers, we saw as much as 3 to 4 inches of rain. So our ground is really soggy and saturated. So the threat is there for some localized flooding, and we're going to keep a very close eye on things today on the NBC2 First Alert Live Doppler Radar. Make sure you have the weather app too. If you go to the App Store, search NBC2WX, and if there's flooding rains on the way or strong thunderstorms, we'll send out a notification based on your location. Futurecast rainfall today, you can see some of these pockets. What I want you to notice here, the pockets of some of the yellows, the colors that really pop out, and that's where we could see as much as 2 to 3 inches and even as much as 4 to 5 inches in some areas today. So that's why we want you to just be aware, and we have that first alert in place again today. Temperatures on the way up into the upper 80s to lower 90s. That morning sunshine will warm us up pretty quickly today. 92 at Mockley, 92 Golden Gate. We're going to warm up to the lower 90s across some of our inland areas out across parts of Glades County. This is the peak day statistically of hurricane season, and the tropics really looking like it too. We've got Paulette and Renee, no threat to us. Also, a couple other areas we're watching closer to Africa. We're going to take a deeper dive into the tropics coming up in your first alert forecast in about 30 minutes at 5:45. But what I want you to see here is a new area circled just to the east of Florida, close to the Bahamas. Nothing whatsoever that's organized right now, but the potential is there over the next 5 days as this kind of skirts by South Florida and moves into the Gulf of Mexico for some gradual development. The National Hurricane Center gives us a 20% chance to develop. So I'd say the odds are actually pretty low. And I don't think we're going to see anything develop before this reaches the Florida Peninsula Saturday and a Sunday. So what does this mean for us? Well, you can see a lot of the greens, a lot of the yellows. That indicates we're going to have abundant tropical moisture around through the weekend. So kind of much of the same. We're going to see scattered numerous showers and thunderstorms Friday, Saturday, Sunday, temperatures in the lower 90s. We will see some sunshine in the morning hours, but the afternoons and evenings looking pretty stormy. Our weather returns back to normal as we get into next week. Monday into Tuesday, we'll say mainly isolated to widely scattered afternoon thunderstorms. Highs up closer to 92. Ahead in the next half hour, again, we're going to talk more about the tropics, and really the main area of concern is very close to Africa right now. We'll give you an idea of where that's going to go over the next several days in your first alert forecasts at 5:45.
Traffic on NBC2 is sponsored by StormSmart, reducing the impact of storms and energy costs while making a positive impact in our community.
Good news to start your Thursday morning commute here in Lee County. We're not tracking any major delays or crashes at this time. Everything is looking nice and clear at Cape Coral Bridges, US 41 and I-75 moving nicely. That's your NBC2 traffic alert.
I mean, it was crazy when I saw it.
What she saw was a letter asking for part of the unemployment money she received to be given back to the DEO. And she's not the only one, we've learned. The Department of Economic Opportunity is now asking people to send money back to the state's unemployment system if they were overpaid. Experts we talk with say there could be several reasons why so many people were overpaid, one being the rush to update in unemployment technology.
When the CARES Act was passed back in late March, early April, the extension of federal benefits and how that was going to be done required some upgrades to technology. As a result, people shouldn't have gotten any money for what we might think of as that last week of July. So it's possible something like that may have happened.
For those who were overpaid and have received a letter from the DEO, head to our website, nbc-2.com. Click on news links there. That's where you will find details on how to return the money.
Wildfires in the west taking another deadly turn. Straight ahead at 5:24, we're going to take you to the front lines as fire crews work to extinguish the fires in 3 states.
The firestorm exploded across the west as many were sleeping. Ferocious winds fueling .24, much of the West remains under siege this morning and an extensive wildfire battle up and down the Pacific coast. Skies have turned orange. Smoke is filling the air and many are left wondering, if they will make it out or even be able to return to a home.
Some of the scenes here just terrifying. At least 7 people have died due to the wildfires in Washington, Oregon, and in California. Thousands of people are under evacuation and hundreds of buildings destroyed. Miguel Almaguer reports from the front lines.
The firestorm exploded across the West as many were sleeping. Ferocious winds fueling massive infernos from California to Washington. Burning out of control in Oregon, thousands forced to scramble for their lives. Chaos and fear as families race to outrun a wall of fire.
You just grab what you can and get out.
Outside Medford looks like a war zone. Most residents have nothing left to return to. Our Jacob Ward is there.
This is what I've got.
What you're wearing right now.
This is what I've got.
Across the region, raging fires and extreme heat creating a dire situation, decimating communities and pushing first responders to the brink. In California near Big Sur, 14 firefighters overrun by fast-moving flames, forcing them to deploy emergency shelters like these, their last line of defense. One responder in critical condition. Near Lake Oroville, flames burst through dry brush, barreling towards communities as 20,000 evacuated. Some lucky to be alive.
I thought I was going to die. There was fire 360 degrees around me.
Across California, skies shrouded with an ominous haze as more than 24 major fires wreak havoc in the region.
Crews have been chasing hotspots all day long, and when they can't get ahead of them, this is what happens. The home behind me is gone, and that's a fire truck ablaze.
Near San Diego, the infamous Santa Ana winds fanning the flames into nearby communities. In Washington, south of Spokane, an entire town nearly wiped off the map. And the unprecedented threat is growing. More than 30 million people are under red flag warnings. As searing heat, dead trees, and whipping winds turn the region into a furnace.
A week after a teen was hit, a man is arrested. I'm telling you how the victim is doing this morning.
And here at 526, look back at the last 5 days. This is all the rain we've picked up across southwest Florida. Marco Island definitely with the highest total, close to 5 inches. Also a lot of rain across parts of Lee County. The ground is soaked and the potential is there for some flooding. We'll show you how much more rain to expect today in your first alert forecast.
A week after a teen was hit. Well, Melinda is still in the hospital, but hey, can you hear me? Perfect. Melinda is still in the hospital, but his family tells us he will make a full recovery. This morning, we're working to
5:29, grab those rain jackets, grab those umbrellas, because more rain is coming to Southwest Florida today. Our team of meteorologists has issued a severe weather alert for today, as we could see that potential for flooding. Thanks for waking up with us on this Thursday morning. I'm Lisa Spooner.
And I'm Clay Miller. Good morning, everybody. Let's check in right now with First Alert meteorologist Jason Dunny for a look at your forecast right now and for today. Jason?
Yeah, we've got a busy day on the way, and so that's why we have that severe weather first alert. And just a couple minutes ago, I got a brand new futurecast. I want to go through some of this new information with you and see if we've had any changes as this data continues to come in this morning. The good news is if you're heading out this morning, first part of the day, we're not going to see any major issues. It's going to stay dry and quiet. But look what happens as we get into the afternoon, especially as we get closer to 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock. Storms will continue to grow and expand, a lot of energy in the atmosphere. But more than that, there's just a lot of tropical moisture. And so that's going to support numerous downpours and thunderstorms as we get closer to 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. This is really going to be the prime time for rain. And then notice where most of those storms set up today. Basically the same places they've been setting up for the last few days. Marco Island, we got hit hard with flooding yesterday, Naples, and also up through portions of Lee County. You can see as the afternoon goes along here and into the evening. There's 6 o'clock. If you're heading home from work along I-75 and Highway 41, the good chance is windshield wipers will be going, and we could see some localized street flooding. And so that's why we have that severe weather first alert in place. By around 8 to 9 o'clock, the rain will start to fade, and we've got some more active weather on the way, it looks like, for Friday into the upcoming weekend. The good news is I don't think we're going to see any really violent thunderstorms in terms of a big tornado threat. I don't think we're going to see a lot of damaging winds, some wind gusts up to around 20 to 30, but no major issues here. I think the big thing will be that localized flooding threat. Lightning will be possible, but we usually see that on a typical summer day in Southwest Florida. So localized flooding, that'll be the main thing we'll be tracking here from 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock today. Right now, the NBC2 First Alert live Doppler radar sweeping clear. We've got some rain weakening just outside of our viewing area right now, but from Marco through San Carlos Park up into Charlotte County, we're looking good. This rain and thunderstorm activity in the Gulf is working away from us. So let's set the stage here and show you how things will play out as we go through the next 12 hours, and we'll track it hour by hour. Rain chances staying around 10% all the way through 10 o'clock this morning, and even through the lunch hour. I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of thunderstorm activity. Most of us will be just fine. It's closer to 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Those storms will really start to pop and really expand and grow in coverage. So we're going to see about a 70% rain chance closer to 4 o'clock this afternoon, with some of that heavy rain and thunderstorms building over Lee, Charlotte, and Collier County. Also, a lot to talk about in the tropics. We've added a new area of interest just off of Florida's east coast, and a couple areas way out there about 3,000 to 4,000 miles away. This one here in red is definitely the one to watch because it's developing a little bit farther south. We'll talk about potential scenarios for that ahead in your First Alert forecast at 5:45.
5:32 at NBC2 News Alert. The man accused of leaving 14-year-old James Lee Milland for dead at the intersection of US 41 and Southwest Boulevard is now behind bars. Deputies say the driver, 46-year-old Juan Pablo Giron, has a track record for hit and runs. NBC2's Nicolette Perdomo is live where that crash happened, hearing from Milland's family about it. Nicolette?
Milland is still in the hospital, but his family says he will make a full recovery. This morning, we're working to find out if Giron will make his first court appearance later today. Police say Giron's Ford F-150 is the one that hit Milland here in this intersection off of US 41 and Southwest Boulevard just a week ago. Now, police believe he was behind the wheel when James Lee was struck while on his way to school last week. We did some digging, and it turns out back in 2013, Giron was arrested for drunk driving after hitting a mailbox and leaving the scene. Now, 7 years later, he's behind bars again, the situation worse with a young boy in the hospital. Miland's father says they're all relieved and at peace now that the driver has been found.
I'm happy that they caught the man that hit my son. This man hit my child and left him to die, as if he was looking for him to kill him. He committed a criminal act.
We still do not have an updated mugshot, but as soon as we get that, NBC2 will be the first to update you. I'm live in Collier County. Nicolette Perdomo, NBC2.
Good morning, everybody. Right now, stock futures are trading lower ahead of a new jobless report. I'm tracking that big story for you here from the NBC2 Alert Center. Let's look at the numbers. INET 3, if our director could punch up that source. Here's how we're looking heading into that new trading day. Always good to see green there. Tech stocks, they finally rebounded after 3 days of losses. Amazon, Apple, some of the big winners all gaining back some of that ground on Wednesday. Now, today's a big day. Investors will be greeted with new economic data, that weekly jobless claims report that's due out, a big one in just a few hours, and I'll be watching to see how the markets respond.
Definitely like seeing that, Stacey. Thanks so much. 5:34 from your Cape Coral News team. This morning, a family is looking for justice after a road rage escalates into one man purposely driving straight into another. Police say it happened July 10th at the busy Pine Island Road and Santa Barbara Boulevard intersection. So two men got angry at each other at the stoplight. One got out and started hitting the other's car. Well, the other guy got out of his car, and that's when chaos and violence followed.
My brother went over the vehicle. And ended up in the hospital with broken ribs, broken pelvis, and he's still not good.
The victim's sister says they are offering a $1,000 reward to whoever can help them find the guy who hit her brother. So if you have any information, Cape Coral Police wants to hear from you.
New this morning, U.S. Figure Skating says that they want anyone who has been abused to come forward. The statement comes after this former competitive ice dancer was accused of having sex with an underage girl right here in our community. Dane Ayers turned himself in this week to the Lee County Sheriff's Office. A 14-year-old girl said that he had sex with her multiple times last year. At least one of the times was in his car at the Hertz Arena parking lot. The teen said Ayers told her not to tell anyone. Ayers faces a charge of lewd and lascivious battery.
Traffic on NBC2 is sponsored by StormSmart, reducing the impact of storms and energy costs while making a positive impact in our community.
Charlotte County drivers, if you're heading out the door, our roads are looking great, but we are starting to see some slowdown southbound lanes on US 41. Now, if you are taking that road, it's going to take you about 13 minutes, and drivers are going about 37 miles per hour, just so you can keep that in mind. That's your NBC2 traffic alert.
5:36, kick him out. That's Joe Biden's reaction to new audio of President Trump admitting he knew coronavirus would be a lot worse than the flu.
Biden says the president downplayed the virus to avoid panicking the public. Tracy Potts joins us live from D.C. with the fallout. Good morning, Tracy.
Hi, Clay and Lisa. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. So this happened between December and July. More than a dozen conversations between Washington Post journalist and author Bob Woodward and President Trump. And those conversations were recorded with the president's permission. President Trump last winter in recorded conversations with the Washington Post's Bob Woodward admitting COVID-19 is easily spread.
You just breathe the air. That's how it's passed.
More widespread.
It's not just older.
Yeah, exactly.
Young people, to plenty of young people.
Much worse than the flu.
This is more deadly.
While telling the public
it's a little like the regular flu.
In interviews for Woodward's new book, Rage, the president admits downplaying the danger.
I don't want to create a panic.
Now President Trump calls Woodward's book a political hit job, explaining
You cannot show a sense of panic or you're going to have bigger problems than you ever had before.
The White House defending his words.
The president never downplayed the virus.
Presidential rival Joe Biden calling it almost criminal.
He knowingly and willingly lied about the threat it posed to the country for months. It's beyond despicable. It's a dereliction of duty. It's a disgrace.
Adding late last night.
Kick him out of office.
It just makes me angry. I cannot believe he deceived the American people.
Republicans punting.
It's a question for the White House.
As President Trump faces the shocking new revelation less than 2 months before seeking re-election. Now, this book, Woodward's book, also talks about the president's relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin. A lot's been made of that in the book. Woodward quotes the former director of national intelligence, Dan Coates, as saying he had no evidence, but he was concerned and thought that Putin might have something on the president based on what he was seeing. Clay and Lisa.
Now, Tracy, Woodward is actually facing some heat himself for withholding these conversations until now, correct?
Right, because remember, the conversations happened months ago before so many people started to die, before this virus really exploded. And now there are questions, lots of people on Twitter, some critics of Woodward saying, well, why didn't you tell us what the president knew back then? Woodward's argument is it wasn't really changing the facts, that what the president was saying about the virus was known by other health officials, but it wasn't really changing the facts, and also that he was focused more on the politics than the public health, that he thought this was more of a political story of the president not saying the same thing publicly, and he was focused on trying to get it out before the election.
In D.C. for us this morning, Tracy Potts. Tracy, thank you. 5:39 now. New this morning, a brand new golf spot designed by Tiger Woods and TGR Design is opening in Fort Myers this week. PopStroke, a technology-infused golf concept, will open its doors in Fort Myers on Saturday. The golf spot is located on the corner of US 41 and 6 Mile Cypress Parkway. This morning, PopStroke will be holding a ribbon-cutting ceremony to celebrate the opening of its new location, and you can count on NBC2 to be there. Check that out. The Fort Myers Police Department is stepping up their patrols. Just ahead at 5:44, we're giving you a preview of their new initiative.
Plus, Cape Coral is booming with business. And straight ahead, you'll see where the next up-and-coming place to shop and eat is being built.
And ahead at 5:45, we are going to talk tropics. Look at all that's going on right now across the Atlantic on this peak day of hurricane season. This is an area we're really interested in, close to Africa. We'll track that and also reflect on the Irma anniversary, 3 years. We'll talk to meteorologist Robert Van Winkle. That's ahead at 5:45.
It's a lot more personal. I mean, driving a car 30 miles an hour, yeah, you could wave, but that's the extent of it, you know. I get to talk
Breaking news from Sanford, Florida, where there's been an explosion at a power plant. I'm here in the NBC2 Alert Center with a lot of new pictures I'm seeing on Twitter. This new video, John, if you could pull that up, just posted a few minutes ago. Look at that. A huge fire erupting there. People in this area report that their homes are shaking. They said they heard several loud booms and bangs. About 800 people right now being evacuated from this area in Sanford, Florida as a precaution. I'll keep tracking new information here in the NBC2 Alert Center.
Yeah, we'll be checking back, Stacy. Thank you. 544, Fort Myers police are pushing their officers to get a biker certificate. For years, FMPD has patrolled the downtown areas on 2 wheels instead of 4. Right now, more than 50 officers are trained to work on a bike, but the police department is hoping more officers will learn. One officer who's been doing this for 13 years, since it's better than using a squad car.
It's a lot more personal. I mean, driving a car 30 miles an hour, yeah, you could wave, but that's the extent of it, you know. I get to talk to people and meet people.
And meet puppies.
Oh.
Officers say they get to know people more on their bikes. It is also letting them move downtown quicker and get to places a car could not fit.
Cape Coral is booming with business, and Pine Island Road is the newest area to see the biggest growth. The city says there is more than $300 million under construction or in the works. Business owner Lee Snyder is taking advantage of the boom, bringing a new farm market called Joe V's to Pine Island Road near Chiquita. He's expected to break ground in November.
There wasn't hardly anything here, and now there's everything.
To see what has happened on these streets just off of Pine Island, and it's popping up so quickly.
The city says 50,000 square feet of retail and restaurants is coming to the corner of Pine Island and Del Prado.
545, a significant day here. We'll always know when you have the peak of hurricane season, because today is the day that Hurricane Irma
It's one of
came
those
ashore.
days where it's like you can't believe it's already been 3 years, and yet it seems like yesterday, all rolled into one.
Really hard to believe it's been 3 years. And, September 10th is also the day back in 1960 when Hurricane Donna made landfall over southwest Florida. And really, there's nothing magical about September 10th. And what the Hurricane Center does is look at the last 100 years. And on what day do we typically see that statistical peak? And it happens to be September 10th. It doesn't mean you can't get a lot of action after that, but we're right here on the summit. We are at the midway point now of the hurricane season. But you'll notice here as you get into the month of October too, notice how you see another little spike, and South Florida tends to see a secondary peak, at least for the first few weeks of October. So we still have a lot of time to watch the tropics. And now that today is the peak of the season, this is exactly what we expect the Atlantic to look like. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas of interest. Now we know about Paulette and Renee. It doesn't look like those will have an impact on the U.S. mainland at least. Renee will likely be a fish storm staying well out at sea, but I want to focus on the area in red. And this is what we're going to be focused in on for the next several days. This has been over Africa for the last few days, and now, just now, starting to move over the water. Here's the Cabo Verde Islands right there. And why are we watching this more closely than, let's say, Renee and Paulette? Because notice the location. It's at a much lower latitude, and when these storms come up a little farther south, they have a chance to stay farther south. And those are the ones we need to watch. Now, the National Hurricane Center now has this with a 90% chance to develop over the next 5 days. So we could see Sally soon over the next 2 to 3 days, and as we head into the weekend. And you'll notice there's another area circled right behind that. Still has a ways to go before it makes it over the water, but the Hurricane Center giving that one a 30% chance to develop over the next 5 days. And we will continue to see these little clusters of storms move off the coast of Africa and track west. And in particular, again, we're going to be watching this one closely. We'll look at a new forecast model for that tropical wave coming up in just a minute. First, I want to focus on this other area. Now, this is brand new. Just popped up on the board last night around 8 o'clock, just to the east of Florida over the Bahamas. We have an area of thunderstorms that's not very well organized, and it doesn't really have a chance to organize, at least over the next couple days. And it doesn't look like until we get into the Gulf of Mexico, until this moves over here, chances will stay pretty low. Right now, the National Hurricane Center gives us a 20% chance to develop over the next 5 days. It will cross right over South Florida, but all that means for us, the way things are looking right now, is we're going to see that increase in tropical moisture. We've seen that for the last few days, though, so it doesn't look like that will have any major impacts on us. We'll, of course, watch it, let you know if anything changes. And there's Paulette and Renee. Paulette could become a Category 1 hurricane, and it's going to come close to Bermuda by early next week. Forecast models kind of still split on exactly what will happen with this system, but it does not appear that it's going to be a threat to the U.S. mainland. Neither will Renee. So let's turn to our tropics futurecast. Remember, this is the one to watch right there along the coast of Africa. This is Paulette spinning. This is Renee. So let's see how these storms kind of bump around in the tropics as we head through the next several days. We'll take this through about Tuesday of next week into Tuesday and Wednesday. And notice the circulation right here close to the Caribbean islands. That is that tropical wave that is now positioned just to the south of the Cabo Verde Islands. So it looks like this will continue to work west. We'll see how this develops. It's also possible it could take that turn here to the north. We'll keep you updated as we watch very closely now that we're in the peak of hurricane season. This morning, it's a nice quiet start. We've got some clouds out there and temperatures in the middle 70s. We're going to end up around 90 degrees. We've got that first alert, the severe weather first alert in place today due to the potential for some localized flooding with some of those heavy areas of rain and thunderstorms that will build in through the mid to late afternoon. We'll talk more about that and time it out here in your first alert forecast at 6 a.m. Over the next several days, we will continue to track numerous downpours and thunderstorms. Remember that extra tropical moisture, that wave just to the east of us that will cross over Saturday and Sunday. Most of those storms won't come until the afternoon. Temperatures through next week staying in the lower 90s. And we also allude to the fact that today is the 3-year Irma-versary, the 3-year anniversary of Hurricane Irma. And yesterday I got a chance to sit down and talk with meteorologist Robert Van Winkle as we reflect on that big day, September 10th, 2017. Here's what he had to say.
Robert, one thing that I always think about when I think about Irma, a few days before it made landfall. So it made landfall on a Sunday, right? And then I remember Thursday, I think it was, that 5 o'clock advisory. And you basically told everybody to stop what you're doing, come over here, look at the TV.
You can't see it, but I got goosebumps because I will never forget that moment. That was the absolute worst forecast you could ever want to see in Southwest Florida. A major hurricane 30 miles off our coast in the Gulf of Mexico. We were fortunate that Irma went up over the land instead of out into the Gulf of Mexico, but it was only about a 30 to 40 mile difference, and it made a world of difference.
You know, it did make a world of difference, and we were talking about too. Remember the shots of all the water being taken out, you know, at the beach. You know,
I mean, I was stationed down on Fort Myers Beach, and to see that in person, going out past the pier, you could completely walk underneath the Fort Myers Beach pier. That was pretty eerie, and I know that we were really afraid because we kept talking about that storm surge forecast, and it was like, all right, if it's going out that far, is it going to come back in that far?
And that, remember, the initial storm surge forecast had the potential for around 10 feet or more of water over normally dry ground. And that difference that Robert was talking about, 30 miles, if it had tracked 30 miles to the west, it would have been a much different scenario for the coast of County.
Not that saying it wasn't significant, going east, and it did some damage. But yeah, we'll be talking about that storm during the 6 o'clock as well. Let's get traffic now with Brianna.
Traffic on NBC2 is sponsored by StormSmart, reducing the impact of storms and energy costs while making a positive impact in our community.
Good news if you're taking I-75 right now. Southbound lanes here in Collier County near Immokalee Road, it is looking a little bit busier than usual. Northbound lanes very empty, which that's great news. Now if we switch it over to your maps, I can see how our main roads are doing here in Collier County. Nice and clear, no major delays or crashes at this moment. That's your NBC2 traffic alert.
No kid should have to experience that.
A Cape Coral man is behind bars, accused of beating and terrorizing 2 children. In just 2 minutes at 5:54, you're going to hear from his neighbors who are outraged over the crime.
It's hard to imagine. It's sad and sick.
A lighter, a clothes hanger, darts, and a bottle of whiskey. Those are the
5:55 from your Cape Coral News team. A night of video games turns into a night of terror for two kids. The vicious attack against them will make any parent furious.
Cape Coral police arrested this man for the crime. They say William Cruz is accused of leaving two kids with welts and so afraid that they hid to avoid more pain. NBC2's Megan Myers talked to neighbors fuming over this crime.
It's hard to imagine. It's sad and sick.
A lighter, a clothes hanger, darts, and a bottle of whiskey. Those are the items 40-year-old William Cruz is accused of tormenting two children with.
Somebody's got to be a little bit off or crazy to do that.
Investigators collected evidence, including photos of darts in the wall and a Jack Daniels bottle laying on the ground. One of the victims told police a dart almost hit his head, barely missing him and hitting the wall instead.
I would obviously like to see him get some help because he obviously is not in the right place.
One of the victims needed medical attention after being left with a large bump on his head and red marks all over his body.
No kid should have to experience that.
Those we spoke to with kids and grandchildren of their own hope he's held accountable.
You need to protect your kids, love your kids, show them that you care.
That's Megan Myers reporting. Cruz is still inside the Lee County Jail this morning on no bond.
All new this morning at 6.
It's safe, it's effective, and it's the right thing to do.
Staying healthy is the name of the game in 2020. What Lee County leaders are pushing right now to keep you from getting sick.
Unprecedented times lead to unprecedented problems.
Coughing up money that was supposed to help them get through this pandemic. You need to hear what's said in letters swirling around from DEO. That's in just 10 minutes.
A boat catches fire overnight at a Cape Coral marina. In minutes, we're showing you the damage.
And heads up, we've got some impactful storms in the forecast today. The main concern will be localized flooding. Marco Island saw it yesterday. We'll show you which areas will see the best chance of rain heading into the afternoon. We see a lot of storms around us. We'll track rain chances hour by hour. Your first alert forecast ahead on NBC2 News Today at 6 a.m.